And we are back, and with me here is Trenton. What's up, Trenton? How are you?
Not bad. You can also call me someone. Just don't call me late to dinner.
All right. Well, someone. We got an exciting race here. Winners finals. DrunkenDraconian versus Redslash. Winner of this is going to move on to the grand finals, so that's going to be pretty hype.
It's extremely hype. This tournament's getting down to it.
Yeah, and just looking at the past matches, we are definitely in for a treat. The race times that these runners have been delivering, constants up 150. Definitely in for something really good here tonight.
Indeed, he coming straight into this off doing commentary, so whatever
Right.
his usual pre-game rituals might be, he didn't have a chance to do them today.
Well, who knows? Maybe his pre-game rituals are commentating runs of other people, so...
I guess I can't argue with that. I don't know.
But the runners are off on SRL, so should be going any second here.
So the winner of this match moves on. The runner-up will go to face one of three runners. We don't know who they'll face directly yet, but background guy from the last match. And then the winner of some guys nobody's ever heard of, Magus and Pong. You ever heard of them?
No. I think this Magus guy sounds pretty intimidating, though. Might be because the tournament is named after him, but who knows?
Yeah,
there have been some speculations that this entire tournament is about defeating Magus in the grand finals, so we'll see about that. Personal shoutouts to Rhett here for using the Blat split. I very much appreciate that.
Have you actually told the story of that?
The story of Blat split?
Yes.
I mean, there are many stories to it.
Okay.
I mean, I remember just the race that Rhett and I had. I kind of forced him into using Blat split with me, and it's been kind of critically acclaimed. So I'm not sure if he went back to the Blat split that is a little bit less aggressive with that. I don't know. I enjoy it. It's also called the shittiest timer on the internet.
Well, whatever makes you happy.
Yeah, I mean, whatever makes the audience happy, I guess. I know some people really enjoy Blat split, others don't. I could argue for both, I guess.
Well, at the very least, you get to enjoy runs of Chrono Trigger. That makes for a good Saturday.
Yeah, and not only any runs, we're gonna have absolutely high tier runs. Got both Red and DrunkenDraconian taking some extra time to change the background text. That's always nice.
Well, takes a couple seconds, but as long as you're both doing it, no time lost. And of course, first thing they do here is the renames to just the one character, because Squaresoft RPGs at the time, they love to draw out the text, so the shorter the name, the more time you save, and over the course of a run, that adds up.
Both runners going for Candy Skip, neither of them hitting it.
Yeah, so the typical fair shenanigans, not that much. We don't need silver points in this run, so no sense gathering them.
Yeah.
Of course, in a 100% run, you get them later anyways. I still think Cadillac's a sure bet, though. So, experimental teleporter. Nothing could possibly go wrong with this, right?
What could possibly go wrong?
I can't even imagine.
I mean, Chrono obviously tested it just before. That's what the dialogue said. So
yeah,
has to be foolproof, right?
Couldn't go wrong. So worth noting, if this run is new to you, that this is an any percent run. They'll be doing anything it takes to get to the end of the run, which is defeating Magus.
Yeah, more of an RTA category. The nice thing about this is that basically Magus is the point where most main categories just kind of fuse together, and after that point it kind of spreads apart. So, a nice point to come together, just getting this tournament. Also has a very nice race-friendly length, even if there are some things in this game that may not be race-friendly. As we have unfortunately seen in the last race, a lot can go wrong, will go wrong, but we'll see about that in this race.
Well, it's a run that tests your ability to be consistent, certainly, but you think if one race tests your consistency, the whole of this tournament, your margin for error with this level of competition is so slim. To get where these two runners have, they've had to be extremely at the top of their game, both of them defeating 3 opponents to get here, so all that consistency 3 times over, and now you get to do it a 4th.
It's actually pretty interesting, even though the winners bracket has the losers bracket has way more matches. It's still interesting because the winners bracket has way less, but has definitely the top of the competition. So it's kind of a mix between like the high endurance, the high competition that just kind of tops up at the end of each. We got our first encounter here. First setup of the RNG manip that we're going to see throughout the entire run, basically. Doing these very fast right attack inputs here to make sure Chrono doesn't get hit. Both got it. Basically a long chain of setup that is going to lead to a very quick Nugget fight at the end of Cathedral, at the start of Cathedral.
And our first of the many glitches we'll see, well, that one's not really considered a glitch, it's encounter manipulation, but bird skip successfully pulled off. Make sure you pick up the gauntlet on the way.
Oh yeah, that's an important item. Don't want to miss out on that. Gonna see some very specific movement here for the woods, just again, skipping encounters. Really, in this entire run, there is almost no optional encounters. Actually, most forced encounters we even skip. And only 2 encounters that are optional we're actually going to take, just to be able to, again, one-shot the Nagates at the start of Cathedral. Everything else that is optional will be skipped.
Yeah, we're going to see that very soon. But don't want to do it just yet for reasons.
Well, first we obviously need to hear more about the backstory and time travel and biology lessons, because that's important.
Yeah, gotta have those accurate biology lessons. So not a lot in your control right now. Of course, you have to keep your movements clean as you're going through this section of the game. Don't want to waste a lot of time leaving text boxes up too soon. You can't take anything for granted, but just not a lot in your control during this section. But the things that are pretty important. And of course that's reflected by the runners being in almost sync right now.
It's kind of nice seeing just a slight back and forth between these early areas. Sometimes Rat is like a second ahead, sometimes it's DD. Just based on like minor things like slight movement optimizations, getting bird skip slightly faster than the other, or just slightly faster text matching. Really just nice to see that these minor things do matter. Even though not too much on the grand scale of things that can go wrong in this, that loses you like 10 minutes. But let's hope none of these things will happen.
Yeah, we'll see much bigger points of demarcation later.
Now we got this beautiful cutscene coming up, showing the lineage of Princess Nadia.
Of course, they did the bird skip the one time, they'll end up doing it, I think, 3 more times.
Yeah. They do four bird skips in the run.
Just have to be careful about counting while I'm live. I have a habit of forgetting things.
Well, that's okay. Chat certainly won't notice.
Or like chat will never let you forget it.
Well, either way, it's beneficial for us.
Alright, so we have our mission to save the queen, or princess, or both. I'm not sure.
Someone that looks like Marl, at least. And now we got these extra encounters that we mentioned earlier. Gonna have the free rolly riders here. Scripts for these are not terribly tight. Just important that you get them in order to line up a nice RNG for the Naga fight later. But so far, both runners doing an excellent job. Next one is really straightforward. There's a minor trick that's going to be used called an RNG jump. Basically gonna ready up an attack on one of the enemies and wait out till the other character is ready so that the other character can also attack that. But since we're gonna get a crit here, that other character is gonna be forced to move over to the next character, or to the next enemy, and that's gonna force a jump in RNG, which is gonna be favorable for the next encounter. Which can lose you a lot of time if you're on the wrong RNG. And basically all these fights are just a giant setup for that.
Yeah, the 5 enemies defeated is enough to get you Flame Toss and Fire Whirl, or whatever it's called. The Spin Cut and Flame Toss combo.
Flame Whirl.
Flame Whirl, okay. I always get it confused with Flame and Fire. It's silly, but I do. Finding a hairpin, and then... Oh look, this looks perfectly innocent. Oh wait, what's this?
So what's really important here is that we are able to one-shot 3 of these nuggets with 1 Flame Whirl. And there we go, both of them getting that. And that's really just a massive time save. They can separate really badly to a point where you can only hit 1 at a time with 1 Flame Whirl. And this way, being able to one-shot 3 and then taking the next Flame Toss for the last one is really, really good.
Yeah, and also not having them cast their slow spell is quite an improvement in that battle.
Yeah. Not only does it slow you down, but the animation for the slow spell itself is also pretty slow. And here's the probably the best character of the game.
Certainly the most dapper.
Right.
I mean, who else has a feather on their hat?
And look at that biceps. That's just impressive. Classic video game puzzle, playing the organ to open the hidden path. Of course, Chrono is perfectly capable of playing this organ.
Well, there's sheet music there. It's not like he has to invent the tune.
Right. Both Red and DD getting the safety revive. Definitely a good safety measure for a race like this.
Yeah, I was doing a little practice this morning on my own and ended up needing it when battle against Yakra went a little wrong for me.
Another thing you'll see, first instance of a glitch called Fade Out there. Activating a loading screen and then pausing, which will delay the loading screen to a point where you can just chain that infinitely. And by doing that and then collecting the power tap, you skip the kind of like jingle that you get from the power tap, which is slightly faster if you manage to get it in 2 fade outs. I think DD actually managed to get that, whereas Redslash needed 3, which is about equal to just collecting it straight away. But we'll see more of that later, which is probably way more important than just this short time save for the power tap.
Not many encounters so far. This room, the true boss of the cathedral.
Yeah, nice little effective setup we have for the Nagaets is that we have 2 guaranteed frog crits here on the Diablos, which just gets rid of them nicely.
Yeah, Try to one-shot them. He will not if he just regular attacks. And that is the true final boss of the dungeon, so it's important to get it right.
Right. It's not like there's another boss sitting in the back of this cathedral waiting to fight us.
Here he's a scrub. So one of the things the game does so well is just kind of introduce you to the idea of avoidable enemies. In these early areas, they're very visible. Later on, they aren't quite so visible.
So here we have another instance of a fade-out glitch, but in this instance they'll actually move onto the save point after they fade back in. And that will activate a glitch called Save Anywhere, where the game basically thinks that you're still standing on the save point, even though you're not, and you're going to have the permanent ability to just save until you next enter a room that has a save point again. And by saving past the boss transition here, as you can see on Redslash and DD's screen right now, you're basically able to move around freely in this cutscene here, which will allow us to completely skip the boss fight of this dungeon by just having it off screen while the fight starts.
Interesting that they did it in a slightly different order with the unequipped glitch. Redslash did it before Draconian did.
Yeah, it's probably also something pretty important to mention there in the menu that they did equipping some items, the Power Glove and the Bandana, but also unequipping Luca here. And unequipping basically gives you a really, really high magic defense boost for Lightning, Shadow, and Water. And also a really, really big magic attack boost, which we're going to utilize a lot. We're ultimately going to end up unequipping all our characters over the course of the run, and it's going to matter a lot.
It definitely helps. The earlier you do it, even, the more it's going to make a difference because the raw points are a higher percentage in the early game. But it enables getting through this early game at a much lower level than you could otherwise. I mean, not at this section that it's a huge difference, but when you start talking about an hour and a half into the game.
Yeah, there are definitely going to be encounters where you would usually take like about 100 damage from magic attacks, but you get it down to like 10. And that's really significant. Not even talking about the massive boost in damage that the characters are going to be able to deal once they have magic.
So we saw about an 8-second difference in finishing Yakra's skip for Redslash over Draconian so far.
And that is really not a lot, considering we have some RNG that isn't really manipulatable coming up that saves about that much time if you get it right, and lose about that much time if you don't get it right.
And of course we have to hit Frog Skip there. Very important.
Right. Don't forget to hit that.
He has dialogue, but we're able to avoid it just simply by not talking to him.
Alright, here, a big instance of Save Anywhere. Again, you're not supposed to save there, the game doesn't really know how to handle it well. We're able to get past the encounter. Redslash going for the fast reverse bird skip there.
And just faster than getting into a battle and retreating, so anytime save is important in a speedrun.
Yeah, I see DD also going for it. Fortunately, missing it so has to reload. So going for the slower alternative. You'll also see that DD was kind of doing a switching between files back and forth. The reason for that is if you reload, the way your RNG is determined is the amount of time it takes you to reload your file. So by waiting out a specific amount of time, we can set the RNG to what we want for the next section, the prison. And DD just does that by swapping around his save files for a little bit, a set amount of time, and then he knows that he's on the right RNG. But we're going to have a confirmation if they are actually on the right RNG once they hit the prison. Which, spoilers, they will.
Wait, there's a prison?
There's even a trial.
That depends on your definition of a trial.
Well, right. I mean, fair. Okay.
So looks like that expanded things to about 18 seconds for Redslash, but plenty of run ahead.
Again, there are sections in this game where you can lose multiple minutes to very slight missteps.
Very much so. And again, the early game dungeons, they give you the visible enemies you can work around to not fight. Later on, you'll see movements from the runners designed to avoid enemies we can't see.
Yeah, also note that even though you can see the sprites of the enemies most of the time, the actual tiles that you need to walk on to activate the fights are mostly not aligned with them. They can be like way under them or next to them. So it's really important that you know your movement around these to not run into a ton of extra encounters. Yeah, you got the trial coming up now. Really just a bunch of dialogue that you mostly want to mash through. Chancellor is going to ask you 2 questions that you want to answer with no both times, so you have to stop matching there and just do 1 extra directional input. And that's going to set us up not only that we skip some extra cutscenes and dialogue, but also it's going to influence the result of the trial in a way that we basically have like an almost 50-50 chance of either getting guilty or not guilty, with guilty saving us about like 8 seconds over not guilty because it's going to skip some dialogue.
Most of the setup for this section has already happened. It's the actions you take at the fair. Just things like picking up the pendant before talking to Marley was an effort to keep the time in this sequence as minimal as possible.
Yeah. A lot is really done in the fair. 1 extra jury midglead, 1 extra jury person is going to be determined by the answer to the questions, and well, then again, the second is the important one. That's the one we can't manipulate, and that's going to be determining if we get guilty or not. Yeah, Redslash timer is saying Blat. It's the family-friendly version of the Blat split.
Alright, so the jury for Redslash.
And it's guilty, alright. Saving himself some time there.
Be a couple of the lines of dialogue that we'll have forthcoming.
Oh nice, we have a Blat command in chat. That's always lovely. Alright, let's see what's DD getting. Also guilty. Nice. Good to see that the RNG is on the side of our runners here.
Yeah, I suppose that's good luck for Chrono Trigger speedrun. May you be found guilty. Instead of break a leg. Alright, so the princess tries to say this is just a slight overreaction to execute somebody over this, but nobody seems that interested.
I mean, who cares what the person that is supposed to be abducted has to say, right? That's irrelevant.
Alright, so Chrono is escorted to prison. We avoid some dialogue here where the Chancellor blames paperwork being lost in the system. And some of the greatest prison guards that have ever been. They've got such confidence in their shield and their heavy armor that they don't bother disarming Chrono.
No. Perfectly fine bringing the prisoner in. Redslash not even taking the safety save here. Seems to be confident about his RNG setup. They will know if they're on the right RNG if the Cyclone that's going to be following up will hit for 60 and will one-shot the guard. Any other setup will deal lower damage and will not one-shot the guard. I did not see Red set up. I'm 99% certain DD got it. He's actually going for the safety save. Let's see what Red got. Red got the 60, so he's on the right RNG.
Thread the needle twice. That's about the most challenging part of the prison escape. Well, actually, I take that back. This would be the most difficult part, but otherwise.
Yeah, again, a really long fade out just to avoid the encounter. It would actually be faster to do the encounter rather than skipping it, from my understanding, but it doesn't set up the RNG as nicely as what we got right now for the boss coming up, the Dragon Tank. So, gonna see about that. Red with a really nice first guard here. That one can troll you if it doesn't want to turn around. Second one is okay. Definitely not the worst.
Only the two directions to look in a little bit harder. Thread the needle one more time.
And a very small fade out to skip another encounter here.
And there they go.
And now Luca is going to come to our rescue. Thanks, Luca. The underappreciated hero of this game.
Well, she's either responsible or to blame, depending on how you look at things.
Right. I just think this part specifically is pretty sad, especially when like Luca breaks in to save you, and then once you take out with Marl is just like, oh, come on, Chrono. Just ignores Luca. Luca's just following. Yeah, now we got the Dragon Tank coming up for both DD and Red. Gonna be abusing the RNG, gonna get a ton of crits on the head here. Usually kind of want to avoid the head as the last part, but since we got the RNG manip and can guarantee a ton of damage on it, we can take it out as first, and then take care of the body and the wheel.
600 HP on that head, he dealt over 200 and then was healed back 75. I don't try and count this out. We're on 300 right now. All those crits go a long way. If you try and use elemental attacks while the head is still up, of course they won't work.
Really important getting that Cyclone in last, otherwise it would be immediately countered, but since it kills the head with the Cyclone, not going to get the counter in.
And now we can do our elemental damage to the body and wheels.
Good. And just one minor thing you saw Red doing that you're going to see on Luca's screen here in just a second is delaying that flame toss just to skip out an attack with the Dragon Tank, which is just a nice thing. And sets up the RNG really nicely for the first encounters that we're going to have in the future. Yeah, basically flawless Dragon Tank fights from both runners, so nicely done.
So our unavoidable path of story continues. Now that we rescued the princess, got our reward of being locked in prison, and are escaping with her.
I always have to admit, I find it very impressive how the Chancellor gets from like hanging there where the Dragon Tank exploded to just like casually walking down the stairs in like a few seconds. It's respect for that.
I guess we know what that balcony was overhanging or something. I just Well, I don't really hope it was a soft landing, but it must have been. Alright, so we run away from the guards. And what could possibly go wrong jumping into this game?
I feel like this is kind of the theme of this game. What could possibly go wrong? And it just keeps getting worse.
Worse or better?
Well, ultimately it's going to be better, but I mean, to be fair, for the entirety of the run, it kind of only goes worse. Like, you just want to hang out with the girl, and then you get thrown into the prison, and you want to jump into the random gate to escape, but you discover the apocalypse. Then you want to stop the big evil magician from summoning the monster, and it turns out he just wanted to stop the evil monster. So I don't know, I think it's not really going great for the entirety of this run.
Kind of makes you wonder, what would he have done if he had been successful?
That's indeed a good question. We should discuss this at some point.
I'm sure there's theories.
Right. Redslash coming up on a very fun piece of movement here, lap 16. This is really one of the hardest screens to optimize in terms of movement. So far looking pretty good. Should get a fast rat cycle here.
And possibly the most important treasure chest of the run, picking up the Berserker.
Yeah. Those Berserkers that are going to be collected over the course of the run are really, really important. But Rat here with a flawless lap 16, very nicely done. Let's see how DD does here.
Rats will steal a tonic. Unless you're out of tonics, then they just steal your money. They're kind of jerks. But they give us that text box we can use.
Yeah, you'll notice that the runners open these chests, leave the text up, and then get stolen from the rats. And that will just kind of overlap the text, and it will stop them from activating encounters as they run through the tiles. So just a nice way to skip 2 encounters here at lap 16. DD unfortunately not getting fast rat cycle, but still gets through it nicely. Alright. Another instance of a fade-out basket. This one is actually kind of unique, because pressing the button for the menu that is assigned by default will actually start an extra encounter, so it won't work. Which is why, for this basket specifically, you need to change your controls. Redslash here changed his controls from the very start in the initial menu, which is a little bit faster. DD here actually prefers to play with default controls, so he just swaps his controls for this specific room to get the boss skip, and then swaps them back. So you'll see that in just a second here coming up on the room. He'll go into the system menu and change his controls. There you go. And he will swap it back as soon as he's through this boss skip. There you go, skipping it back to default. And a slight menu here, getting a load sword, load bow, and the Berserker on Mar.
And of course, it doesn't matter that you actually know what the password is. You can't implement it until after you've talked to the rat.
It's kind of interesting. The game does it both ways. One time you need to talk to someone in order to get it. Other times, like the SRB code, you don't even need to know it. Oh, and that's really unfortunate here. This can give DD massive time save later. Redslash you going for fast bucks, but unfortunately running into the encounter. And that just ruins the RNG setup right now. And this is gonna make 2 fights coming up a lot slower than an optimal RNG. So if DD manages to not run into any encounters here, it's not only gonna save him the time that it takes from running from the encounter, but also in the 2 next encounters that they have to fight, which are just going to be really fast because we can force some really good crits with the RNG that DD is on right now, that Redslash is unfortunately not going to get. But in fairness, this room is absolutely horrible. I've been spending hours and hours trying to get this optimally, and it's atrocious getting these fast buck cycles. Really hard. Just respect for going for that at all in a race.
Well, sometimes that's where races are decided. What gamble are you willing to take, and how well do you execute it?
Yeah. You see a very small fade out here, skipping half of this cutscene here. Red getting fast reverse bucks though. Can he get the... Ah, even getting the fast rat cycle, nice. So DD really doesn't want to run into any counters here, and then he's going to save a lot of time over red in the upcoming part. Yeah, playing it safe here. That's not a bad call. Not even bothering with like any fast cycles.
Next up, we get one of the most fun mini games I've ever seen implemented into an RPG. We get the race with Johnny, aka the man.
The man. And this race has been lost a lot of times in this tournament already. And if you lose it, I think you lose like a minute to it. So yeah, let's hope this goes well. They're like kind of free strats you can do for this. There's like the really safe strat, which is also the slowest, where you just kind of bonk behind Johnny and pull over in the last second. Then there's the strat where you kind of like take a horseshoe pattern, which is like about 6 seconds faster. And then there's like the hardest strat where you just kind of try to constantly bonk in front of Johnny as much as you can. Which looks like Rat is gonna go for that, which is the fastest setup. But can also be kind of risky because you need to still be able to pull out in time at the very end. But he's been doing like half the race while still staying in front of Johnny. This is going pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. If you ever need to just easy mode this race, whatever you do, all you have to do is be clear of Johnny. When it's 40 or less, hit the turbo and you win.
Wow, he actually... Wow.
Didn't even need the turbo.
What
a pro.
This is so much harder than he made that look. Like, staying in front of Johnny for like the entirety, basically, of the race is so ridiculously hard.
Yeah, DD not trying as much to stay in front every second, but getting the bounces there, so no mean feat himself.
So here's the part that DD is going to save a lot of time on. If Red would be on the right RNG, both of these Marl Berserk hits would be crits and would take out 2 of the buggers. With this setup, I think neither of the hits are going to be crits. So it takes like extra attacks, which loses time. And even worse, there's going to be another encounter in the factory, the first one, where you want to rely on a really insane robo crit. And that one's probably also going to be off. So there's going to be the big time save for DD now, coming up on 2 Marl crits. There you go, that's the first one. Just going to be able to attack and flame toss this bugger here. And then the next Marl hit is going to crit.
And the poor neglected Intron will just sit there collecting dust.
Really important to not run here because that's going to trigger the 4 bugger encounter. And that's actually one you cannot run from, so it's kind of unfortunate, especially with the energy the runners are at right now. Can easily kill you.
So we get a little more backstory of the game because, of course, we haven't had enough yet. And then chance to rename Robo.
To Y. Alright. I was kind of banking on Bobo, but Y is an interesting alternative. I can't say I've seen that one before.
Guess shortening it to the last character of his real name, or 66-Y.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Oh. That's smart, yeah. I didn't think about that. Yeah, obviously cannot name him lowercase o because that one's already taken. And DD just staying with the vanilla name. Wait, no, did he? Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's stuck with Robo.
For the later characters, like for Chrono, Marl, and Luca, which are going to be named a lot, obviously it does certainly save a lot of time renaming them. But like for the later characters, which are not going to be named as often, doesn't save as much time. Obviously, since this is a partial category, it's not going to save as much time as in a full any percent run. So yeah, this is the acid fight. Usually you're going to be done with this in 2 attacks if you're on the right RNG. This is going to take slightly longer. Still gets a really good robo crit. That's that could have gone way worse.
That is damage is no trivial feat against those acids.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot of times when you see 2 damage crits.
Yeah, your typical slime type enemies who don't take a lot of damage.
So there you go, there's 1 attack and then this insane 10 damage crit from Robo. And can get done with that in 2 attacks. So DD not as far behind as he was at the start of this.
A little swerving to avoid encounters by walking along the edges in particular.
And
Let's
now
get down on 4 fights there.
We got a completely RNG based fight here, the acid slimes. Usually hope for as many green ones as you can. Red ones having a higher defense and more life, which is unfortunate. But that would have been an interesting cyclone. The nasty thing here is that if you attack these greens while they're close to a wet one, they have a high chance of counter-attacking. Like that, and it's going to be AoE, and it's going to not only deal damage, but also be very slow. Oh, it looks like... Did DD do the manipulation? Or was that just... It didn't actually look, but... There's a manipulation you can do based on your in-game time that guarantees you, well, if you hit it, 5 greens. And I didn't see if DD went for it, but either way he has 5 greens now, and that's...
the dream.
That is the dream. That's the best possible outcome there. And that is gonna give him the lead here. Unless things go like horribly wrong now.
I expect some groans out of chat once people get the pun.
I see a lol from Redslash. It's understandable. Oh man, that Luca 1 hurts. Still pulling even. Ran only like a second ahead now.
Yeah, nice.
Just due to DD being able to keep up the RNG and getting the god green acid slime fight. Actually, no, because Redslash had to... Right, that's another thing about the green fight. Because Redslash took the counterattacks and a lot more damage in general, he had to use some healing for the upcoming boss fight. Oh, looks like... Oh, well, yeah, I guess that makes sense. DD also going for it. Could have theoretically skipped it, but that's a gamble you don't want to take in a race like this.
Yeah, especially with how long it's been since the last save. I think
Yeah.
Risk that.
Yeah, pretty good sync after 43 minutes.
Next will be one of the more interesting boss fights. Just because it's so easy to do it once you know the correct way.
Yeah, the next fight is, in theory, super simple, but can still go really bad, which makes it so dangerous. You want to enter some cyclones here, especially the very first cyclone you want to enter has to be really fast in order to be optimal. So the idea of this fight is basically cyclone the first three, then cyclone the back three twice to kill them, and then finish the last three off, just to be able to completely avoid counterattacks. If your cyclones are too slow though, you're going to get extra attacks in, and at this point these attacks really hurt and can actually kill you very easily, depending on if they hit the same character over and over again or if it's spread out evenly. So for this entirety of the fight, we actually have Luca only for the purpose of healing us with mid-tonics. Optimally, you only need one mid-tonic here. Most of the times you'll see two. Again, it kind of depends on how fast that first cyclone specifically is going to be inputted. Ideally, there's going to be a cyclone and then the attacks start. If it's slightly slow, there are going to be R-series attacks before the cyclone.
You know, when you think about it, Robo really is the most abused character in this game.
That is true. But both getting a really good first cyclone. Again, this due to the acid slime fight being like basically completely RNG, there's no way of having like normalized RNG here. So you can't know in advance which character is going to get hit by the R series. Always want to make sure to mid-tonic the character that has the most damage taken in.
There's gonna go the back row.
Yeah. Really good fight so far.
Didi got a little ahead there, got the row down first.
Yeah. Getting some little slightly cleaner cyclones in. Being able to completely skip out on the second mid-tonic. Oh yeah, and Rhett and DD finishing about the same time here.
Fortunately, we don't have to worry about fights on the way back. We just have to drag this big heavy robot, which, despite our vulnerable state, causes no enemies to attack us. That makes sense, doesn't it?
Gotta give props to Luca for being able to carry this on her own.
Well, Chrono's helping. He's probably
well,
doing
yeah.
it
Well, not in the factory. But yeah, back to the abusing Robo part. I remember probably one of my most memorable moments of my blind playthrough was when I got to speak here the first time, and I had like Marl and Chrono and Robo in my group, and I was getting so excited. The first two characters learning magic. And then it's just like Robo can't use magic, and he's looking so disappointed. That was definitely a key moment for the playthrough.
And then you tried the fight, and you were disappointed.
Yeah.
Of course, no fights against Specchio today.
Let's hope not.
No planned fights against Specchio today.
That is true.
Though if you beat him, he'll give a magic tab.
That is unfortunately not really useful in this. Well, it might. Maybe we're gonna... Oh, actually, yeah, DD was already announcing some anti-pote strats. Hmm.
With dual techs in this game, the requirements for learning them are to have the techs on the two characters that are the prerequisite for it. Then you have to complete a battle with them. It doesn't even have to be a battle for experience or tech points, you just have to complete it. So if you did the first Specchio fight, you'd learn Antipote. And of course, everybody is free to walk around the room 3 times while thinking magic, but speed gaming is not responsible for any consequences of those actions. And thank you, Speed Gaming, for hosting the Defeat Magus tournament. It's always appreciated.
Are we commentators forced to also walk through the room and think magic?
No, it's optional.
Oh, okay. I thought we might need to set like a good example.
But if you walk around the room, it is required that you think magic.
Right. So yeah, you are not actually required to walk around the room. There are just 5 triggers set through the room that you need to hit. But both managing that nicely and learning magic.
I mean, speedrunners mostly consider any directions of the game to just be gentle suggestion.
Right. And Redslash successfully skipping the Spikio fight. So does DD. And we're going to be heading off to Medina Village. Going to be eating some cake and dashing away by spamming the menu and swapping our party while eating the cake. Going to be able to avoid some text.
The frog form of Specchio will only show up while you're level 9 or lower. So that's why in casual runs we never see it, but it happens all over the place in speedruns, because we're generally at a lower level.
Both getting the cake and dash. And there we go. DD getting the extra speed tap here on the other's house.
There's 2 tabs in the house. There's the speed tab, and I believe it's a magic tab upstairs.
Yeah.
See, if I really want to sound smart, I could just say another one upstairs and leave it vague, but I actually asked the question. Okay, chat, what's your favorite kind of cake? What do you like to imagine that cake is when you eat it?
You know, I've never actually imagined eating. That's an interesting question.
I'm going with strawberry shortcake.
Yeah, I'll take that. So the second cave is pretty trivial. We just run away from most of these encounters. There's another fade out encounter skip coming up right now. The really interesting part about this is the boss fight skip, the Heckran skip, coming up later.
We're using fade out glitch to skip a few rollies, and then we just have to push past one encounter there, one more there, and we skipped, I think, 4 battles in this dungeon.
So the idea for Heckran skip is basically exactly the same as for Yakra skip. We get save anywhere, get into the room, and save past the trigger for the encounter. But however, this one is way more precise to do. But Redslash getting it first try, nicely done. I think TD also got it. Ah, there you go. Both getting it first try, nice. It's really important that you actually end the fight there and get this conversation out. If you just run past him and exit the cave, it's not going to advance the story trigger. And, well, yeah. You're basically locking the campaign in place.
That is going to end up being a 15-second gap, last person into the water.
That's pretty impressive. 53 minutes in. Alright, another important glitch coming up. Since, well, they had save anywhere after Heckran Cave, but since they're now at the end of time and need to go to a different time zone, there's a save point here, so it gets rid of save anywhere. They want to have save anywhere for the next trick though, so they get save anywhere from the end of time here, which is slightly harder to set up than usually. So what's gonna happen here is setting up very precisely, zipping out of the screen, getting control over the group and swapping your characters so that you can move around again, and then putting yourself on the save point. It's a little bit more complicated. You kind of have to set up a specific frame out of this last text box here, both working with pause buffers to make it consistent, but both getting the end of time save anywhere.
Redslash pulling off bird skip one more time. And now we have the Battle of Magus's troops versus Knights of the Square Table, if I remember that. Oh. Square or rectangle?
Yeah, no. Square table.
But the Guardian Knights trying to bravely repel Magus's forces. Here at the bridge, they're all going hungry. Nobody get them any cake.
Thankfully, there is the chef in the castle, who's ultimately going to give us a singular jerky, which is obviously enough to feed all these troops.
Well, nobody said what size it is.
Well, I mean, how much do you think can Chrono carry?
Well, I mean, they just drug Robo around. He's at least a life-size machine.
I mean, I guess if we get like a Robo-sized jerky, then that's true. More importantly, we get the power tab, which we're going to use later. And after we just skip Tekren, we're going to come up on, yes, another boss skip, the Zombie skip. Which is actually two parts. We first have to skip the captain here on the bridge, which is rather precise. We see Red here getting it first try. And after that, we have to do the actual boss skip, the Zombie skip here. And he also, what should work, I think. You can kind of see if they got it or not based on when they pause, like how far to the left they are when they pause. Red getting it first try. It's a lot more complicated. There, DD unfortunately missing it. It's a lot more complicated than just holding left and pausing at a specific point. You have to release your dash button for a specific timing in order to hit a certain frame rule to get past the transition.
And it wouldn't surprise me if this sequence ends up being the biggest factor in the match. These runners are at such a high level that getting Zombor skip first time versus second time could be all the difference.
Yeah. We see Redslash here setting up for the optimal Masamune fight. Not doing any early shot menus, whereas DD is going to do exactly that. Going to be setting up for a anti-pod fight, whereas Redslash is going to be setting up for a Berserk Chrono fight, which is faster. I think it's about, like, what Redslash is going to do is going to be about 30 seconds faster. But Redslash strat is a lot more, well, it's a lot more risky. There's way less room for recovery if you mess it up. So, let's see about that.
A lot of these movements through this mountain just involve going very precisely, very quickly. You see those moving outlaws. If they hit you in the wrong way, you're into a fight that you don't want to be.
Yeah, and if you run into any extra encounters too, you just reset. The RNG is going to be off in a way that the Masamune fight is not going to work. Especially, specifically for Redslash setup, I'm not entirely sure if they're... I think that there's a backup load for the anti-pod fight at the save right before Masamune, I'm not entirely sure. But for the Berserk fight, you just have to set back up from the start of Denadora Mountain.
Also, I heard a rumor that mountains are nice, but that goes unconfirmed. Before we go into the boss, of course, use the tabs to get the stats right. And you need this outlaw in the right position to be able to skip that encounter. Go too soon, you're in a long fight.
Yeah. But Redslash getting through nicely without running into any extra encounters, and now going to be coming up on Masamune. I want to say in this script specifically, the Massa Twins are probably a little bit hotter. During the actual Masamune fight, you have a lot of time to input your attacks and text during the animations, which are usually quite lengthy. But for the Massa Twins fight, there are 2 really tight Luca Fire inputs that you need to do. Oh, and DrunkenDraconian actually hitting fast birds here, saving himself some time.
With Masa Immune, they each have 1k hit points. You just have to take one of them down to claim victory in this fight, so that's why we just focus on one enemy to be defeated.
Yeah, another reason why the RNG minute is so important here, so that we can guarantee that these Berserk deck from Chrono are all gonna hit the left guy. But yeah, Red getting both fire inputs nice and quickly, so we'll be set up for the actual Masamune fight. RNG still looking good. Oh, I'm sorry. DD is actually going for Berserk fight as well.
Yeah, you're right that he took the extra encounter.
I mean, this is looking all good.
Alright, so here we go.
DD is definitely on the right RNG, so all the correct numbers. Just a little bit surprised because he announced anti-put strats in his commentary.
Well, maybe it was a psych out.
Well, can't blame him. Psychological warfare against such a strong opponent.
Oh, by the way, I didn't mention this yet, but 3,600 hit points for Masamune combined. Definitely a big leap from the bosses we've seen thus far.
This is not good. Red is definitely off script here. Oh wait, no, Red is going for Fire Punch strength now. Oh, might be fun. I was assuming he would go for the normal strat, but looks like he's going for Fire Punch strats.
Basically doing 10% of Masamune's damage on each of those hits.
Yeah. That looks like he's fine. Yeah, I'm really not familiar with Fire Punch strats. Not entirely sure what the health values for the characters are supposed to look like here.
Both of them seem to be sticking with that strategy.
Yeah, Red gets through nicely.
Very well done. And with that, Phase 1 of Operation Masamune is complete.
Operation Masamune, I like that. Yeah, nice fight from DD as well, both getting through. That's the important part. This tournament has been proven that Masamune can kill a lot of races.
Yeah, we didn't really touch on it, but they're skipping a phase in there, which is very important as part of the Berserk strats.
So yeah, we got one part of the Masamune now. We are very soon going to find the second part, after Red does his shot menu here. And then we're going to get the hero medal from Tata, who we technically have seen already, but since we got a nice skip due to Save Anywhere, we're going to see him for the first time now.
on Robo. Here's Tata, who's happy to just hand over the hero medal. And finally, at 1 hour, 4 minutes, we get our first chance at a news sighting. And there it is!
Got one news.
Use them if you got them, chat.
Definitely a relief after the last race at 0 news.
That sounds like we need to rerun it.
Right? Oh, there you go. Second part of the Masamune. Gonna be heading over to Melchior now, who will tell us that we need a charged Dreamstone to repair it. And 2 news.
The double!
Redslash on the go. Alright.
I think you'd have Regimanip to that somehow.
I mean, this run is obviously blessed, so let's see if we can keep up the streak.
The double news sighting. That's not something you're going to see too often. And this time not bothering with the reverse bird skip.
Yeah, it's faster to just run away here, set up for slash for the next fight, and then just run through. Let's see if DD can get some of that luck. Red Hat, nope. He stays newless.
Well, Redslash got enough new for both of them. That's how it works, right?
Let's not say that. We want to see more news.
Well, sure. So, visiting Melchior now, we need the Red Rock, which of course nobody has laying around in present time.
I heard there's a girl though that has one. Back in days.
Well, we'll just have to go pay a visit.
So right now coming up on kind of a tricky encounter here. A little bit different from the usual setups. These reptiles here are going to be set up very specifically in their RNG by closing these text boxes at a specific point. Will allow for this first slash here to kill those first 2 reptiles, and then the last 3 can just be killed with an anti-pote.
Just walking around with that 9 HP like it's no big deal. Of course, if you don't get attacked, it is no big deal.
And coming up right after that, another reptile fight.
With one mild interlude first.
Just showing off how awesome Ayla is supposed to be.
But the flanking strats help too.
Yeah.
Proven combat technique.
So it looks like DD didn't get the text box closing, so he's going for a backup with Cyclones. Looks like Red got through the second fight nicely as well, though. Not entirely sure how this extra attack is going to influence RNG for DD. But I'm sure he's familiar with this backup.
So the chief of the village, who fortunately for us speaks exactly the same language, invites us to come pay a visit. The busy fight, as I like to call it, just because there's a whole lot going on, but fortunately we can run away.
DD actually getting that second slash in. That's pretty tight to get in without Luca being killed. Nicely done. And Redslash last minute swapping over Robo. Because we really don't want Marl, as awesome as she is, to have in our party right now, because Marl party's a little bit too hard for this upcoming sequence. And loses us a ton of time if we have her here. Instead, we're just gonna wait for Robo, kind of dancing a little bit depressed, sitting down, and then just gonna talk to Ayla for a soup contest.
Yeah, when in doubt, you can talk to that third character to see where you're at. Once you see the text from Robo of so many bugs, you're in the right sequence to go talk and start the soup contest.
Really fast mashing by Red here. You really don't need to even mash this fast here. It's like pretty lenient.
As long as you get one more bowl of soup in, you win. Those are pretty big bowls of soup, though.
Well, if you consider what it's actually supposed to be before the translation, then it's even bigger.
This is true.
I'm not sure if I could ever drink that much sake in my life.
It might not be the healthiest decision you could make. So while we have a little bit of a moment here, let's just again cover what's at stake here. The runner-up of this fight is going to have a match against one of the 3 remaining opponents, background guy, a Magus, and someone named Honk.
Hi.
And that'll be for a chance to face the victor of the winner's brackets.
Which is this match here.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy that we're already at the end of this tournament, basically. Got like 5 more matches, and that's it.
So this forest maze to navigate.
Really big screen, lots of encounters. Not terribly hard to dodge. Most of them have like these nice little footsteps as indicator. But you definitely need to know where they are.
I guess it would make sense that if a monster has walked through there, it would leave footprints behind.
I'm glad if video game logic works like that.
They have to be logical once in a while just to keep you on your toes.
Right. So here's a nice benchmark to see if he's still on the right RNG. Fred is going to get hit for 34 here. We know that he's on the right RNG. There we go. Just slash these 2 enemies. DD now with Luca with the Kino Fate. Don't want to have that giant text box talking to Kino.
And our first run in with a Megasaur.
Really only important part here is that you get the lightning in fast enough, otherwise Luca will die. But gets it nice and quickly.
Nice mechanic they threw in at a couple places. You weaken an enemy with an elemental attack, and then you're able to do normal attack damage. Back at the mountains, we mostly skipped it, but you can use fire to weaken the hammers. You've got the dinosaurs you can weaken with the lightning, and then sand creatures, of course, with water.
DD on the right RNG. It's really nice how they built like these, especially like in the older games, they have this tendency to like build in these kind of logical, elemental weaknesses, like water winning against fire and sand, or like light against shadow, stuff like that. It's really a common theme back in these kind of video games. Don't really see that too often anymore, unless like, I guess modern JRPGs.
Here comes Nizbul. Weighing in at 4,200 hit points of Dinosaur, he is our next opponent.
Also known as Caleb Hart. Yeah, this fight is probably one of the easiest boss fights. Even like off script, it's really not too hard. On script, you can get a really nice, well, really clean fight with minimal counter lightnings. Redslash inputting that first lightning even fast enough to avoid the earthquake.
And that's one of the biggest benefits of doing the de-equip glitch right there, where we just don't take the damage from the lightning.
Yeah, the damage reduction here is insane. This would be way more rough if we actually had to heal the characters because of all the lightning. And of course Ayla with her Berserker and being way over level for the current party, just hitting like a truck.
He's starting the fight as well, getting the initial shock on Nizbul. And that's the fight for Redslash. So just about the difference between the two runners.
Yeah, DD here also so far was a really good Nizbul fight.
So the bad thing about this fight is you don't get a chance to recover your Berserker, but fortunately we got both of them and don't need that one back.
Yeah, there's this really nice Berserker at the end of, well, at the exit here. Or entrance, I guess, depends when you want to pick it up. And that Berserker, I want to argue, is probably the most important item for this entire run. That Berserker is going to pay off very big for Magus Castle.
That's the fight for DD.
Good job.
It's up to be a minute 13 right now, so some ground to be made up by DD. Redslash has everything we need to reforge the Masamune. All we gotta do is go talk to Melchior.
Yeah, gonna be doing another fade out here. Into Melchior's basement. Important to swap the party once more to get Robo out. The game kind of wants you to have Robo here at this point. Even gonna force Robo back into the party after this cutscene. But just not having Robo here really shortens up this quite a lot. Gets rid of a ton of animations.
Yeah, the game is designed for either Luca or Robo to assist in the reforging of the Masamune. And we're basically skipping half of that.
There you go. Red getting the reforged Masamune. As DD is just making his way to Melchior.
I think it was the subtle prod to go back and see Frog again. Or Glenn, or whatever you may happen to name him in your particular run.
Redslash getting a shot at keeping up this perfect new streak.
Oh, that'd be crazy.
Yeah, from what I got told, apparently the record for this tournament is free. Actually set by myself. We're gonna see if Redslash can follow up on that.
Chad asks what happens if neither Robo or Luca is in the party. Well, we're basically getting the game to treat it like that, but in terms of if you did nothing, there's no way because you only have 4 characters. So one of them has to be in the party.
Ayla is currently out, Frog's currently out. So... And... no
Not
move.
this time.
No. Still one more shot. But for now, we got a little bit of a downtime for Rhett here. Gonna have a pretty lengthy cutscene coming up, followed by a slight bit of movement, followed by another very lengthy cutscene.
Probably where Glenn gets the most developed backstory of any of the characters at this point.
Yeah. Usually you get a lot of backstory on the characters, or a lot of character development in the later part, where it's going into all the side questing. But really, like, main story-wise, Glenn gets a lot of attention in this part. So DD here, probably with the most important bird skip of the run. Also getting it. Actually, it might be the second most important one. It's definitely want to keep up the RNG at this point up till Magus Castle. I'm pretty sure Robo would look excellent with that Masamune.
I mean, just imagine if he was punching with it. Fire it out.
DrunkenDraconian using his downtime to make some emo shenanigans in chat.
Yeah, I've seen worse. So we see that in the past, Cyrus tried to stop Magus. Glenn was at his side. Things didn't go very well.
There was some fire involved. We don't talk about this part. Remember, Magus is actually a nice guy. Even though this may not seem like it.
And apparently this is Magus's idea of fun.
Lighting people on fire and turning them into frogs.
Well, no, not the fire.
Ah, okay.
Just turning people into frogs. That's
I
the
mean-
only thing he associated with having fun.
Right.
But who am I to speak on that? I can't turn people into frogs. I don't know if it's fun or not.
I mean,
I can't question the man.
it sounds fun. I mean, there are certainly people in the past that I wish I could have turned them into frogs.
Then depending on your ending, you can have Glenn turn back into human at the end of the game.
And it looks like Rat is gonna have to stick it out with 2 news. Still over average. Leave Fiona alone. Oh god. Well, a little bit more psychological warfare there.
Well, not many RPGs where you get to cut a mountain in two. Of course, I have to crank up the volume a little bit on my side because it's possibly my favorite piece of music in any video game.
Hmm. My personal favorite in this run is probably actually the Magus fight theme.
It's a good one. Right, will DD get a new? He does!
There we go.
Last try, he got one.
Yep. I mean, it is deserved. On such an occasion, we deserve at least one new for each runner.
Well, and for his sake, we wouldn't want him having to go into the Magus fight with that hanging over him that he didn't get the new set. That'd just be awful.
Yeah, I mean, Magus will definitely be more intimidated now. You're a marshmallow clan. Would have reset if no new. Dang. That would have been an anticlimactic end to this, but I do appreciate that.
Well, he didn't say when he'd have to reset.
That's
you might have to reset after the Magus fight back to an earlier save, and then just keep going till he got a new.
I'm not sure if SG would have actually been open to restream that, but it would have definitely been worth a shot. I would have stuck around for commentary for sure.
Alright, so Redslash should be the first to cut a mountain in two. You'd think that would get Magus's attention.
I mean, it got someone's attention. There's going to be a somewhat specific bat following us around. Pretty much ever since we entered this cave. Alright, another confirmation of RNG here. Gonna get a hit for 19 on Robo, so we know that's the right value. That's the one we want.
Then Glenn wants to learn magic, but we don't have time for that. This is a speed run.
And it's not going to be of great use anyways, because Rock is going to get a very nice Berserker very soon, so no need for magic there.
Just love that theme. I think it really helps set the contrast as well for when we get into Magus's castle and they try and build the eerie theme.
Let's see on DD side, we got for RNG. Also getting hit for 19, so both are set.
Nothing special accomplished with these movements by Redslash. He's just doing that for his own amusement.
Yeah. Diagonal movement is just as fast as just moving straight up.
There will be some here where he doesn't want to run into these, lest he trigger an encounter.
It's actually very confusing when you're first learning the game, because there are actually instances where just these diagonal movements do matter, just to align characters a little bit better. for like movement stuff, and then there are other times where you just walk with diagonals and it does absolutely nothing. So, not the most intuitive thing to learn, but eventually you get a feel for it.
Ozzy makes the boast of 100 monsters in this castle. No idea how many we actually fight in this run.
Certainly way less than 100.
And that's going to take care of business quite nicely. DD picking up the extra mid-ton, mid-ether.
Yeah, that's not going to be used in this category. Oh, Red even going for the extra safety save here outside of Magus Castle. Definitely not the worst choice.
It did the
Decent safety.
Well.
And now we're coming up on the part where all the RNG manip and the Frog Berserk is going to pay off massively. The flea fight.
Question in chat about the difference in the runners. About a minute and a half from our last increment, but fight against Flea will be a better barometer of where we are right now.
We got another Crimson Rain 46. Wait, did Redslash actually forget the Berserker?
Could be.
Oh wow. Well, I hope I didn't mess up a massive comeback for DD for mentioning the Berserker. And Red listening to commentary. Oh well, but yeah, this Berserker is going to be important. But DD catching up a little bit due to this mistake here.
It's certainly something you would notice as soon as the fight started.
Yeah, this is nothing you just YOLO and like improvise. Like, you can kind of wing a lot of these boss fights in this game, but Flea is not one of those. I don't know, do you want to go over why the things are happening in this site that are going to happen very soon?
Well, the first thing is 4,120 hit points for Flea, and then as it works out, Flea and Glenn have the same speed, but Berserker takes priority. And as soon as Flea takes the Berserker hit, the game mechanics just decide Flea didn't really need a turn anyways, so we can just stand here and let Glenn do the work. Though we do have to tack in some extra hits along the way.
Yeah, we're gonna wait out a total of 16 frog hits, of which a lot of them are gonna be crits, as you can see. And then we're gonna do another Robo Attack, Chrono Slash, and then another Chrono Attack, and then the stun. But really, it's just looking at Flea, having some fun. Frog being very angry at Flea for laughing at him, and Robo just kind of watching that.
This strategy so solid that you're basically going to see the same thing regardless of the run category. All the Flea fights are going to look exactly like this.
Yeah. So there we go, Robo Attack, Chrono Slash. Then we're going to have another Frog Attack and then a Chrono Attack. So let's see.
The 133 when Redslash wraps this up. DD will not be far behind.
Yeah. Got about a 20-second difference here.
Yes,
made up a lot of time.
Up.
Yeah, that's those menu mistakes there at the start of Magus Castle really saving DD a lot of time here. And there is a lot of technical stuff still coming up. We got probably the most complicated boss script coming up right now, with the Slash fight. Well, maybe not the most complicated one, but at least the longest one. So a lot of room for error there. And then after that we have a pretty technical movement section. And then there's still the Magus fight. So a lot of room where 20 seconds can be made up.
Yeah, we had a split earlier at the end of Masamune where Redslash was a minute 30 ahead. So DD has played very well from that point to get it this close.
Yeah. Making up 1 minute and 10 seconds there. It's really not bad. Especially since DD had to go for a backup flight with the Reptides, which was significantly slower, so really making up a good amount of time here.
So fun fact about Slash. First form only has 3,200 hit points, but second form with 5,200, when you add the two fights together, actually weighs in with the most hit points of any boss in this run.
I just realized that the way Red has his characters named, the final party is going to be named Joy. That's pretty smart. That's really, really cool.
Tip of the cap for that one. Well done.
Yeah, good job, Red. What a beautiful word too for such a cool tournament. I can't believe this took me so long to realize though.
DD's, I guess, would be OG Robo.
Alright.
Phase 2.
With the first phase. DD about to finish it up.
5,200 hit points here.
Yeah, we're really mostly relying on frog crits. Basically, the idea of this second phase specifically is trying to get as many frog crits in as possible. And when frog is about to not crit, just steal some of these non-crits by attacking with the other characters, and then making sure that the next attack is going to be a crit again, that Glenn is going to get it.
Slash is quite capable of handing out a considerable amount of damage in this spot.
Thankfully, unequipped helping here quite a lot, seeing these damage numbers on Robo.
Yeah, he's using the Slash, which is lightning based. That one's just a physical.
Yeah. That spin cut on Chrono hurts quite a lot. But Redslash, still on the script, is going to get a ton of attacks in now in the last phase of the Slash fight. Slash is finally going to start counterattacking very soon. Then it's just a few more hits.
Chad already knows where this is going.
Yes, indeed.
There it is.
So in this last phase, Slash is really going wild. But that's it. Red is done.
So that is our last boss before Magus.
No, that's not quite true. Don't forget about Ozzy.
That is our last
intimidating boss.
Magus. Unless you want me to count the levers. Levers.
Ozzy, I'm telling you, that guy is rough.
Well, I'll say this about him. He's tough enough that I don't even think we'll lay a finger on him.
I think we can agree on that, yeah. Is Ozzy a boss or an interactive Switch puzzle? You know, why even making a difference there? Why not both?
So this, what I like to dub the Hall of Unavoidables. Not unrunnables, but unavoidables. We have to get into these fights because of where the triggers are. There's no getting around it.
Yeah. It's really just running from encounters over and over again until you're at the end.
Ozzy's tired. Maybe he'll go take a nap. So important to avoid the blades here. Not that hard, just important.
Yeah, this movement is actually kind of specific too, because it's very well possible to like land on the conveyor belts as the dialogue starts, and then you just start slowly moving onto the blades without being able to get control back over the characters.
Here's where your movements get a little bit tricky because you don't want to interact with the rollies. If you interact with the rollies, you're gonna get into a fight, so you're even better off waiting a moment for them to roll by you than touching them too soon.
And DD unfortunately taking a hit there from the blades. Not really too significant here, like way less insignificant than like running into extra encounters. Red here probably on the most difficult screen in the entire game.
Yeah, doesn't want to get that rolly, and also
Oh my
get the out of bounds.
god. Actually getting the wow, that was beautiful. Getting like a perfect screen there.
Yeah. If you walk up, that outlaw is gonna get into a fight with you. You want to get him moved out of bounds so that you don't get the encounter. Just
That
looks
would,
beautiful.
I can't believe he even went for that. Oh well, yeah. It's Redslash, so whatever.
Yeah.
DD here playing it a lot safer, just pushing the outlaw out of bounds with the other characters. So yeah, again, it's really important here that you don't run into any extra encounters. It doesn't have to be too bad, because there's one more encounter you're going to run from, so it kind of normalizes the RNG you're going to be on. However, DD also already took damage, so he will have to take an extra shelter. Whereas Rat, if he does this last encounter after this one correctly, will stay damageless and will be able to skip the shelter and still be on the right RNG. But yeah, we're getting to the point where there's not really any more time save coming up for DD here. This is the last encounter that Rat is gonna have. Same for DD here in just a second. And after that, it's only gonna be Ozzy and Magus. Unless something bad happens and
Something bad or something bat?
Now after this, there's the Hall of like basically completely skippable encounters. Oh well, you can just run past every one of them. And there's one more encounter directly on the staircase. There you need to. It's not really precise. It's just like if you do it wrong, it's easy to run into the encounter.
Don't stop and don't turn too soon.
Yeah, you have to face a specific direction in order to not activate the encounter. But after that, it's gonna be kind of hard for DD to catch up unless something goes wrong in the Magus fight and Redslash messes up the barrier manipulation.
The Hall of Completely Avoidables, Redslash, just going side to side for swag, but you can just run alongside one of the walls.
One of the many instances where people just like to run diagonally for no good reason.
Alright, the epic boss fight against the switches has begun.
Yeah. This one yet again being a nice benchmark for your RNG. All these damage numbers kind of just showing you if you got it right, but we already know that both of these runners are on the right RNG, so no reason to worry about that. And again, there's going to be a little bit of extra time save for Redslash coming up just by not having to shelter because he got through this entire area damageless.
See ya, Ozzy.
Bye. He will be back. Not in this tournament or this run, but he will be back. Redslash is going for the safety save. Getting Robo back into the party. And now heading to Magus. SDD is just getting rid of Ozzy.
So you run down that staircase and then just don't turn into the door too soon. You won't face the bats. One of the easier encounter skips in the game. Most people don't even think about it being an encounter.
There you go, DD taking that shelter. And now also onto the Magus fight.
Well, Magus, of course, with 6,666 HP, well known with his barrier changes, the more interesting dynamics of an encounter that you can face.
Yeah, we got basically two phases in this fight. First one was the barrier phase, where we can only damage him with the attack that, well, the element that his barrier is made of. So since we have Shadow and Lightning at the moment, we only want these, and can't deal water damage, can't deal fire damage. We specifically don't want fire, because the unequipped glitch also doesn't defend against fire, but since we're on the right RNG and there's a really nice script for it, we're basically guaranteed to only get Lightning and Shadow barriers.
And in between barrier phases, you hit once with the Masamune in order to weaken Magus's magic defense, get more damage out of your attacks. And the fight begins for DD. Definitely time for finishing this out strong. Barrier change to lightning. A very accurate description from chat. Basically, a 2-hour run, the runners are 20 seconds apart right now. That is a very, very thin margin.
Yeah, just goes to show how well these runners optimize their runs. And once they get past these barrier phase, they're basically in the clear. After that, Magus is going to start using his antimatter attack. Optimally, we're only going to see that a single time on both runs. And from there on, it's basically just mashing slashes with Chrono, rocket punches with Robo, and just attacks with Rock.
Yeah, also important to know when his phase ends, because it actually ends before you get that text that he's casting the spell. So, Redslash doing well.
DD should be done with his barrier phase about any moment now. And again, it's at this point it's just mashing through and hoping that you can avoid the second antimatter. Again, unequipped helping a ton here, almost taking no damage from these magic attacks.
Yeah, in the dark matter, a little bit troublesome in a casual run for how much damage it can do, but much less risk You miss. Chad asks who entered the fight first. Redslash started a few seconds ahead.
And looking at this, it's going to be Redslash who will finish this fight first as well. With DD being insanely close behind.
Draconian takes his first dark matter. Handles it well. Chad asks about unequipped taking less damage. Yes, if you have the empty space, you will take less magic damage. Considerably so.
And there you go. Ret is done.
A first place time, 1 hour, 49 minutes, 28 seconds. Very well done. Chat, let's see some GGs for Redslash.
Really, really nicely done.
And DD right here. Actually got the second dark matter. Shouldn't have far to go.
And there you go.
Doesn't want to get away.
That's unfortunate. But DD finishing second place right behind Rat with a time of 1:50.16. So less than 50 seconds apart from each other. Really nicely done. And yeah, with that, oh, see, we're already joined. Don't even need to ask for an interview. There you go. We got DrunkenDraconian here.
Hey, how's it going?
Yo, going good. How are you after this race?
Felt pretty good. A little sloppy in some parts, but there wasn't any like really big mistakes, which is something that you want in this game for sure.
Well, yeah, it was certainly an impressive run. You kept up quite well. Even got in the lead for a very long time with this race. So that was pretty cool. Got a lot of back and forth.
Yeah.
Really fun run to watch.
The 5 greens was unreal, by the way.
Yeah. we didn't actually see that. Did you go for the manipulation, or was that just pure luck?
It was pure luck. I was looking to see if I could get the manipulation, but I was like 40 seconds.
Oh wow, that was
earlier, 20 seconds late. One of the two.
That was actually insane. Getting that luck. I mean, in fairness, Redslash got the better new luck, so that kind of evens it out. Speaking of him, we got Redslash here.
Hi, how you guys doing?
Good.
How did we do?
That was pretty hype.
Yeah.
Yeah. Boy, I can never get that final line on Magus, but that's the least of my problems there. DD totally cursed me. I forgot to somehow missed the frog whistle, dude.
Oh no.
Yeah, because I don't know. I decided to go out to safety save before flee, and I'm pretty sure that's what messed me up. Wasn't focusing on the menu. Otherwise,
it was like kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. It looks like.
Yeah, right. Just by going outside, I don't think I needed to. And
there's no recovering from a messed up fleet, though, really.
Yeah.
You
did pick up that extra time save on the staircase, though.
Yeah, that was insane. I did not think you would do that, but yeah.
We got roly push, did we?
Yeah.
Nice.
See, if I'm a little bit slow with the first bird, I won't go for the second bird. But if I do get the second bird, I'll go for the roly push. So it worked out.
Well, you also went for fast bucks.
Fast what?
Fast bucks unfortunately got that extra encounter right before the factory.
Oh yeah, bugs, right? Yeah, that was pretty. That was BS. But I just about I had a perfect Johnny going. That was the biggest.
Yeah, that was really sick.
That was the longest combo right off from the beginning I've ever had. So I was more mad about that than the bugs afterwards. To be honest.
Yeah, I saw that actually. I saw the 2K plus.
Oh dear.
My only chance at that time was to hit the 5 greens, and I lucked out and did it.
Oh yeah, word. Oh, I took a gamble on the slimes actually. There was a red in between 3 greens, and I tried to weaken that red, and I banked on the Cyclone killing it, but it was 1 damage short, so I got a couple counters.
Yikes.
Yep. But that's on 5 green. You did the setup?
No, it was pure luck.
Unbelievable. See, I was watching Talon do a run earlier, and he got 5 greens. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it must just be the September 1st luck.
Word. 2 non-manipped 5 greens in a day. Wow.
Well, going forward, Redslash, it's going to be a little while before you even know who your next opponent is. Anything special you do to get ready?
I probably should practice, but no, I just prepare by watching people stream. That's how I practice.
Sounds about right. Well, Red, congrats on going out undefeated out of the winners bracket, moving on to the Grand Finals.
Word, thank you.
DD, you're going to be moving on to the losers finals. Got 1 out of 3 possible opponents there. Are you excited? Are you scared? What's your feeling about this?
I'm pretty excited. I don't mind being a gatekeeper for the losers bracket. See who I come up against. I'd like to see you win your next match, Punk, and then things might be a little different.
Right. We'll see about that, but yeah. Might even get a rematch in the Grand Finals. Would definitely be pretty hype. DrunkenDraconian versus Redslash Volume 2.
Yeah, in the Grand Finals, your losses are erased and it becomes a best-of-3 match as well.
Oh, right, okay. We were wondering about that, but yeah.
It'll even be Volume 3. We had basically a showcase race to kind of plug the tournament here on Speed Gaming. That was on June 1st, and that was between me and DD. So exactly 3 months later. That's pretty funny. Same time as well.
All right.
But yeah, thank you so much for the race, DD.
Yeah, it was fun.
And thank you to you guys, Trenton and Pong, for commentating.
Yeah, it was a pleasure.
It was exciting to watch. Again, thank you to Speed Gaming for hosting the Defeat Magus tournament. Next match not scheduled yet, but stay tuned or join us in the Discord and you can keep up with the schedule there.
Yeah. So, not sure what we got coming up next on Speed Gaming 4, but
I didn't
thanks
see
everyone for watching. All right, I guess we'll just signing it off then. Thanks everyone for watching. And you guys have a great night, day, morning, whatever it is for you.
Thank you.
See you later, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.